What's up, y'all? So today I want to talk about two receivers for the Cleveland Browns who we brought in that I think could potentially have bigger impacts than originally thought. So one of these guys is a drafted player and the other is a UDFA signing. So right off the bat, I just want to say as a disclaimer, I'm going to try to put in highlights, but if I cannot, I'll just throw in pictures. So I apologize if I can't have any highlights, but YouTube is very touchy when it comes to that, so I will do my best. But without further ado, let's talk about these players. So the first player I want to talk about was somebody that we picked in the 6th round. I want to say it was, hold on, I got it here, pick 202. Michael Woods, the second out of Oklahoma. That's where he is coming out for the draft from, but he played at Arkansas the year prior, and that was his college career before he transferred. So he only had 1 year at Oklahoma. So Michael Woods is 6'1", 198 pounds. But I want to look at the stats for him. So let's compare 2020 to the 2021 season. So at Arkansas, he played alongside Treylon Burks, who obviously we know, or you should know if you looked at this draft at all when it comes to wide receivers. He ended up being the replacement for A.J. Brown there in Tennessee. A.J. got traded to the Eagles. They replaced him with somebody similar skill set with Treylon Burks. So 2020, he had 32 receptions, 619 yards. He averaged 19.3 per reception, 5 touchdowns, 82 yards. So, again, that's playing alongside Treylon Burks in a little bit bigger of a role, in my opinion at least. Now, I didn't get to watch a ton of him, but let's compare that to the 2021 season after he transferred to Oklahoma. 35 receptions, so that's up 3 from his previous season. He had 400 yards at Oklahoma, which is down pretty convincingly from 619 to 400. 19.3 is down from 11.4. I should say 11.4 is down from the 19.3 he had before. He had 2 touchdowns in 2021, which is down 3 from 2020, where he had 5. And then his longest reception in 2020 was 82. His longest in 21 was 59. So it's pretty interesting to me. I think Michael Woods, in my opinion, and why I think he could potentially have a role on the Browns roster, and I think it's important to understand what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about a receiver with these two guys that are going to compete with each other to try to snag that last roster spot at wide receiver. Both of these guys are similar. Both of them have somewhat similar skill sets. So I think it's important to compare the two here. So Michael Woods, he had a 4.55 40-yard dash. And just kind of looking at the NFL draft analysis and overview for him, they write here that Woods is a tight-hipped receiver with average bend that affects his route running. He keeps his best work vertically. He has decent build-up speed and it has shown improved hands in 21. He's got a shot to compete for a practice squad spot, but lacks play traits that stand out for the position. So that's kind of their overview. Some of the strengths that they have written on him: impressive physique with good arm length. His route running angles are crisp. He works back to the quarterback, so he's good on scramble drills. Some of his weaknesses, they say he's a one-speed route runner, which will come into effect with the next guy I'm talking about. They say his tape is filled with basic hitch routes, so that can be concerning as far as his route tree goes. But the reason why I'm higher on Michael Woods than I think a lot of people are, what I see in Michael Woods is somebody who can come in, be a backup to Donovan Peoples-Jones, has a little bit different skill sets. I think Michael Woods is faster than I thought he was. His athleticism is not terrible. He's somebody that you can develop. And I think for context here, I'm talking about in 2 to 3 years, could Michael Woods be a 4th-string receiver who comes in and has some impact for the Browns? I think he could potentially be that. But it's like they're kind of writing here for the NFL.com, kind of breaking down these prospects. At the very worst, I think Michael Woods is somebody who can snag a practice squad spot on that roster and continue to develop. We saw this with A.J. Green, who was an undrafted rookie free agent signing, who now obviously we see come in a year down the line and have a bigger impact after he's kind of developed a little bit more. I think Michael Woods could be along that same line, but we will see. I do like his athleticism. I like some of his traits. He adjusts on the ball pretty solidly. He's a solid contested catch guy. So overall, I had originally thought, hey, this is a throwaway pick. This is somebody who's a great run blocker. That's it. I'm not completely down on this pick. I think down the line, eventually in a couple years, Michael Woods could be a solid receiver for the Cleveland Browns. We will have to see. So the next guy I want to talk about is Isaiah Weston, somebody who was a UDFA signing, and this is a very interesting prospect. So he came out of a small school. He's not somebody who is necessarily well known. He came out of Northern Iowa College. So Weston is 6'3.5", 214 pounds. He's a lengthy guy. His 40-yard dash was 4.42. He put up 20 in the bench press. He had a 40 vertical jump. He had a 135 broad jump. He's an interesting prospect, that is for sure. So, I feel like this is somebody, he is older. I want to say he's 25 years old. But what intrigues me about Isaiah Weston, because again, we're talking about a UDFA signing, how can he make the roster? Well, at his size and his speed, he can bring something different to the Cleveland Browns. Because as much as I love Donovan Peoples-Jones, he doesn't really have that speed to kind of stretch the field deep. Weston, to me, is somebody who, kind of like we talked about with Michael Woods, he's got one speed, but that speed is really good when you're talking about down-the-field threats, which is what we pretty much need. So, looking at the overview from the NFL, they say he's a one-speed route runner with height and weight and speed to beat up on FCS opponents downfield, which is true. His primary function was to stretch and challenge defenses vertically, but he appears to have the physical tools to become a more nuanced route runner with more coaching. So this is kind of interesting here because I have pulled up Christian Watson compared to Isaiah Weston. So Christian Watson came out of North Dakota State, same school as Trey Lance. So the numbers are intriguing. Weston, who was drafted by the Packers in the second round, 52 touchdowns. Or not Weston, sorry. Watson, Christian Watson, 52 touchdowns. Or no, why am I not reading this right? 52 career games. Weston has 40 career games. So this is comparing the two and their numbers here. So Christian Watson in 52 games had 105 receptions. Isaiah Weston in 40 games had 109 receptions. So he wins in the reception game. In receiving yards, Christian Watson had 2,140 receiving yards in 52 games. Isaiah Weston had 2,468. He wins the receiving yards. Now the yard per catch, Christian Watson in 52 games had 20.4 yards per catch on average. Isaiah Weston, 22.6. Touchdown catches in 52 games, Christian Watson had 14, and Isaiah Weston in 40 career games had 21 touchdowns. So, it's interesting, right? You're talking about a guy who went in the second round versus a UDFA here with Isaiah Weston and Christian Watson. That's the two I was comparing there. So, Isaiah Weston's strengths, he's got a long body type, he's flexible, fast, and athletic. Those are really the three things you love in receivers at the next level, especially at his size. So they have listed here, build up speed to blow past FCS corners, gets the most out of his catch radius, length and lift to go up and swipe the jump ball, and he displayed improvement in making contested catches. So that is interesting. So some of the weaknesses they have, his route running is at a consistent tempo. He doesn't really have the burst. So these are two guys here that are pretty similar in my opinion. You're talking about two guys who are bigger receivers who could potentially come in and steal a roster spot at their size. being that much needed, tall, deep threat for the Cleveland Browns. Now, Isaiah Weston, to me, is more impressive because you look at those numbers, you look at his size, you look at his speed. He kind of really struck gold as far as the NFL Combine goes, as far as getting attention on him. When you watch the tape, I mean, he looks pretty good. I think this is going to be a battle to watch for the Cleveland Browns heading into camp in the preseason. Isaiah Weston versus Mike Woods for that last roster spot. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. I like both of these guys. I think they both have some unique skill sets that separate one from the other. But if I had to grade right now, I think Isaiah Weston has the more upside, but Mike Woods, he's done it at a higher level. So we will see. It's going to be interesting. The one thing that I want to point out here before we close the video is if you notice Andrew Berry in his process of bringing in receivers, every single one of them has been 6 feet or taller, or 5'11" or taller. Now, I'm not counting Grant in that. I'm not talking about Felton in that. I'm talking about strictly receivers. So it seems like Andrew Berry's got his type. Will we see that trend continue? We will see. So with that being said, let me know your thoughts on these two receivers. What do you think about Michael Woods and his potential? What do you think about Isaiah Weston and his potential? Do you think both have a shot to make the roster? Do you think one of them does? My personal opinion, I think this is going to be a battle to watch. One of these guys will make it, in my opinion. The other will have to sit on the practice squad. We will see. But thank you for watching. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a like, subscribe if you like the channel, and we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.